Here's a fun stat. Over 19,000 towns exist in the US, and a shocking number of them are quietly telling people not to show up. That's the world as it is. Small towns that look normal until you stop the car. The problem? Most lists chase ghosts and legends. But what nobody tells you is the data says the real creepiness is structural. Population collapses, environmental red flags, places locals avoid explaining. So we're going in. 10 towns, ranked. From subtle wrongness to full-body nope, until one city makes you question what safe even means. Would you stay the night, knowing the locals wouldn't? Like the video if you enjoy learning things that ruin road trips. Subscribe, because knowing where not to go is a life skill. Let's break it down. Number 10. Cairo, Illinois. Cairo, Illinois isn't creepy because of crime or ghosts. It's creepy because it lost more than 80% of its population, and nobody replaced them. Cairo sits at the confluence of the Mississippi and Ohio rivers, two major waterways, rail access, historic buildings. On paper, this should have been a Midwestern logistics winner, a scrappy river town with grit and purpose. But then you arrive, and the streets feel paused, not abandoned, interrupted. This is a place where the stoplights still work, but the reasons to stop don't. Here's the data that changes the mood. Population peaked near 15,000. Today, roughly 1,700. Over 30% of housing units sit vacant. Entire blocks empty. Median household income hovers around $30,000, well below state average. Property values collapsed so hard, some homes sell for 4 figures. Not a typo. The town spent years under federal oversight due to systemic mismanagement and civil rights lawsuits. Surprisingly, violent crime isn't the headline. It's absence. No businesses, no foot traffic, no momentum. What nobody tells you is Cairo didn't implode. It exhaled and never inhaled again. Living in Cairo means adapting to quiet that isn't peaceful. You don't feel unsafe, you feel unnecessary. Here's the emotional tax. When a town empties slowly, everyone left becomes a witness. To what it was, to what didn't work, to promises that expired quietly. And can we talk about the infrastructure? Cairo has the road network of a town 5 times its size. You'll hit more intersections than people. It's like the city planned for a future that ghosted it. Every turn signal feels optimistic, like, hey, maybe this time. Locals don't recommend visiting, not because you'll be harmed, but because there's nothing to hold you. Cairo forces a realization most towns don't. A place can be legally alive and socially finished at the same time. No disaster movie, no single villain, just prolonged neglect, layered over history, baked into brick. And if you think a town quietly disappearing is unsettling, wait until you see the next place, where the danger didn't leave, it just went underground. Number 9. Centralia, Pennsylvania. Centralia still has a zip code. Almost no one lives there. But the US Postal Service hasn't given up. Centralia's reputation precedes it. The town with the underground fire, the ghost town, the place people visit, snap a photo, and leave feeling clever. You expect ruins, chaos, some post-apocalyptic energy, but then it's quiet, maintained. Roads that lead nowhere but still get plowed. Here's the part that changes the tone. A coal seam fire has burned beneath the town since 1962, still burning. At its peak, Centralia had about 1,100 residents. Today, fewer than 10. The federal government spent over $40 million relocating residents. Most homes were demolished, not abandoned, on purpose. Air vents still release carbon monoxide and sulfur gases in spots. Surprisingly, crime isn't the issue. Cost of living? Almost irrelevant. There's nothing to buy. The real issue is limbo. What nobody tells you is Centralia didn't collapse. It was formally erased, except for the people who refused to sign the paperwork. Imagine living in a town the government declared uninhabitable and deciding to stay anyway. That's not rebellion, that's attachment. There's something uniquely American about saying, yes, the ground is on fire, but it's my ground. Also, Centralia's roads are the most passive-aggressive thing I've ever seen. Fresh asphalt, clean lines, zero destinations. It's like the town said, we'll keep things nice in case reality changes its mind. Every road ends like a sentence that forgot how to finish. Emotionally, Centralia is heavy. Not scary, resigned. A town that knows how it ends and keeps living anyway. Be honest, if the government offered to buy you out, would you leave or stay out of spite? Yes or no? Comment it. Centralia forces a brutal realization. Disasters don't always explode. Sometimes they smolder for generations. No villain, no fix, just time, heat, and paperwork. And if you think living above a fire is unsettling, the next town looks perfectly normal until the environment turns against you. Number 8. Bombay Beach, California. This place smells like dead fish and hot metal, and people still call it a beach. Bombay Beach sounds like a desert punchline. A forgotten resort town near the Salton Sea. Sun, space, that weird California promise that if you squint hard enough, everything becomes art. You expect quirky, maybe ironic, maybe sad in a retro way. But then, the air hits you. Here's where the tone shifts. The Salton Sea is one of the most polluted bodies of water in North America. Salinity levels are nearly twice that of the ocean, killing most aquatic life. Fish die-offs happen so often, the shoreline is literally made of bones. Dust from the exposed lakebed carries toxic particles, linked to rising asthma rates nearby. Population? Barely 300 people, and shrinking. Surprisingly, rent is cheap, very cheap. But what nobody tells you is the cost comes later, in your lungs. Yeah, housing's affordable. So is asbestos if you don't ask questions. Bombay Beach messes with your senses. The light is beautiful, the silence is wide, and the smell never leaves. Also, can we talk about calling this a beach? There's no swimming, no breeze, no escape. It's like naming a pothole Spa Lane. At some point, we're just lying to ourselves for branding. People stay because leaving costs money. Others come because decay photographs well. That contrast? That's the creep. Quick stat break. The Salton Sea is shrinking so fast, it's creating new dust storms. So yes, climate change brought receipts, and they're airborne. Remember Cairo's empty streets? Bombay Beach kept the people and poisoned the scenery. This isn't a ghost town. It's a town slowly being outvoted by its environment. Nature didn't rage here. It just stopped cooperating. And if you think living next to a toxic lake is uncomfortable, wait until the next town, where isolation isn't environmental, it's architectural. Number 7. Kivalina, Alaska. Kivalina already knows how it ends. The only mystery is when. Kivalina is an Inupiat village on a skinny barrier island in northwest Alaska. About 400 people, tight community, subsistence living. From the outside, it feels remote but stable. Cold, yes, but culturally rich and grounded. You expect harsh weather, isolation, maybe boredom. But then you learn the land itself is leaving. Here's the data that flips the story. Kivalina is losing land to erosion at up to 8 feet per year. Protective sea ice now forms weeks later than it used to. Sometimes, not at all. Relocation has been discussed for over 20 years, with estimated costs exceeding $400 million. Median household income is far below the national average, while food and fuel costs are among the highest in the US. There is no road access. Everything arrives by air or barge, when weather allows. Crime isn't the danger here. Surprisingly, neither is unemployment. The real threat is geography deciding it's done cooperating. Nothing like waking up every morning knowing your town has an expiration date. Living in Kivalina means planning your future around uncertainty you didn't create and can't vote against. Here's the emotional toll. Every school year might be the last in that building. Every storm sounds personal. Also, imagine being told for decades, "Yeah, we'll move you soon," while the ocean inches closer like it's checking its watch. That's not bureaucracy, that's suspense writing, and nobody asked for the sequel. People stay because this isn't just land, it's ancestry, memory, identity. There are cities in America with gated communities and panic buttons, and then there's Kivalina, where the real threat doesn't break in, it washes up. Kivalina isn't scary because it's unsafe, it's scary because it's correct. This is climate change without headlines. No spectacle, no countdown clock, just patience and water. And if a town slowly sinking into the ocean feels unsettling, the next place traps its entire population inside one building. Number 6. Whittier, Alaska. If you live in Whittier, Alaska, your neighbors don't live near you. They live inside you. Same building. Whittier looks cinematic. Mountains, glaciers, water so blue it feels edited. A tiny Alaskan town tucked away from everything loud and modern. You expect rugged independence, frontier vibes, space. But then you learn this. Almost everyone lives in one structure. Here's the reality check. Roughly 90% of Whittier's population lives in the Begich Towers. Population hovers around 250 people, give or take a few brave souls. The building contains apartments, a school, a clinic, a grocery store, and city offices. There's one road in and out, through a tunnel that closes overnight. Cost of living is high, jobs are limited, and winter isolation is intense. Surprisingly, crime is low, very low. But privacy? That's the missing utility. It's less small-town charm and more extended family reunion with no escape plan. Living in Whittier means never being anonymous. Your mail carrier knows your mood. Your teacher lives upstairs. Your doctor shops next to you. Here's the emotional tax. Every conflict echoes. Every awkward moment has an encore. Also, imagine arguing with someone and realizing you'll see them in the elevator, the hallway, the store, and possibly Thanksgiving. That's not community, that's social claustrophobia. You can't even take a walk to cool off. The weather already did that for you. Picture this. You wake up, wind howling, snow sideways. You grab coffee, ride the elevator, and boom, you're at work. Same building, same faces, same day. The vibe? Cozy, until it isn't. Whittier isn't dangerous, it's compressed. Human beings aren't meant to live this close without friction. Community becomes surveillance, convenience becomes confinement. And if living with your entire town under one roof feels intense, the next place proves that freedom, with no rules at all, might be worse. Number 5. Picher, Oklahoma. Picher, Oklahoma didn't die from crime or a natural disaster. It died from success. Picher was once booming, a classic American mining town, jobs everywhere, money flowing, the kind of place where prosperity felt permanent. You expect decline, rust, maybe poverty, but then you see the ground. Here's what actually ended Picher. It sat in the Tar Creek Superfund site, one of the most toxic areas in the U.S. Decades of lead and zinc mining left behind massive chat piles, toxic waste hills. Blood lead levels in local children were among the highest ever recorded in the country. The EPA eventually offered buyouts. Most residents accepted. Today, the population is effectively zero. Surprisingly, crime wasn't the threat. Housing was cheap, jobs existed. For a while, the danger was invisible, and it worked slowly. Turns out, good-paying jobs hit different when they poison the soil. Living in Picher meant trusting the land, and finding out decades later that trust was misplaced. Here's the emotional cost. Parents learned the playground was toxic after the damage was done. Leaving meant admitting the town itself was the problem. Also, nothing prepares you for being told your hometown is officially unsafe, like it's expired milk. Not, we'll fix it. Just, yeah, you probably shouldn't be here anymore. That's not relocation. That's an eviction notice from reality. Picture raising a family there. Quiet streets, cheap homes. Then a letter arrives explaining the dirt is dangerous. You didn't change, the ground did. There are cities with crime maps lighting up red, and then there's Picher, where the real threat never broke the law. Be honest, if your town paid you to leave, would you take the money? Yes or no? Picher proves something uncomfortable. A place can follow every rule of progress and still be unlivable. No monster, no mystery, just consequences that arrived late. And if a town poisoned by its own prosperity feels unsettling, the next place removes rules entirely and calls it freedom. Number 4. Slab City, California. Slab City has no police, no utilities, no taxes, and somehow people still move there on purpose. Slab City gets marketed as freedom, an off-grid desert community, artists, van lifers, anti-system types chasing a simpler life. You expect chaos, sure, but the romantic kind. Burning Man without the wristbands. But then you stay longer than 5 minutes. Here's the reality behind the myth. Slab City sits on an abandoned military base. Just concrete foundations, no infrastructure. Population fluctuates wildly, a few hundred year-round, several thousand in winter. No running water, no sewage, no electricity grid. Everything is DIY. Emergency services are far away and inconsistent. Crime reporting is unreliable because enforcement is optional. Surprisingly, rent is zero, but what nobody tells you is everything else costs more. Time, safety, stability. Turns out, no rules mostly means, congratulations, you're now your own city council. Living in Slab City means constant negotiation, with neighbors, with heat, with trust. Here's the emotional cost. Total freedom removes the buffer between people and consequences. There's generosity here, also paranoia, often from the same person. Also, nothing humbles you faster than realizing off-grid mostly means everything breaks. Solar fails, water runs out, your neighbor's generator sounds like it's fighting demons. Freedom is cool until you're fixing plumbing made of hope and duct tape. Picture waking up there. Desert light, absolute silence. Coffee tastes earned. Then the heat builds, the stillness stretches, and you realize safety here isn't guaranteed. It's negotiated daily. That's not a vacation. That's a lifestyle with terms and conditions. Slab City proves something uncomfortable. Structure isn't oppression, it's insulation. When rules disappear, power doesn't. It just goes informal. And if you think total freedom is unsettling, the next town looks charming, coastal, and harmless until isolation starts eating people alive. Number 3. Eastport, Maine. Eastport, Maine is beautiful, and that's exactly what makes it unsettling. Eastport sells itself as postcard Maine. Ocean air, fishing boats, colorful houses clinging to the edge of the map. It's the easternmost town in the US, which sounds charming until you realize it also means there's nowhere else to go. You expect peace, simplicity, maybe a slower life, but then the quiet stretches. Here's what the data doesn't put on the postcards. Population sits around 1,300, and it's been shrinking for decades. Median household income is roughly 30 to 40% below the national average. Job options are limited, mostly seasonal, tourism-based, or maritime. Winter isolation is real. Long nights, rough weather, limited access. Crime is low, but so is opportunity. Surprisingly, nothing is wrong on paper. That's the trick. It's not dangerous here, it's just aggressively final. Living in Eastport means learning how silence sounds. In summer, tourists buffer it. In winter, the town exhales and doesn't inhale again until spring. Here's the emotional cost. When the world shrinks, your thoughts get louder. Also, Maine winter is not cozy. It's 6 months of wind asking personal questions. The kind of cold that doesn't rush you, it waits. And when the sun sets at 4 p.m., you start negotiating with your personality. People don't leave because they hate it. They leave because staying requires endurance. Eastport isn't haunted by the past. It's haunted by distance. Distance from jobs, from youth, from momentum. Isolation doesn't scream here, it whispers until you answer back. And if isolation wrapped in beauty feels unsettling, the next place strips everything away until there's nothing left but you. Number 2. Amargosa Valley, Nevada. If you drive through Amargosa Valley at night, your headlights hit houses that look abandoned, but aren't. People live there, on purpose. On paper, Amargosa Valley sounds like freedom. Wide open desert, cheap land, no neighbors breathing down your neck. It sits near Death Valley, which already feels like branding that should come with a warning label. You expect rugged independence, maybe off-grid charm, but then the space gets loud. Here's what actually defines life here. Population hovers around 1,100, spread thin across miles of desert. Median household income sits well below the national average. Job market is limited, mostly government-adjacent, mining remnants, or service work tied to nearby test sites. Summer temperatures regularly push 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Infrastructure is minimal. Healthcare access is distant. Emergency response times are optimistic. It's affordable because the environment is actively trying to delete you. Surprisingly, crime isn't the issue. Isolation is. Living in Amargosa Valley means negotiating with silence every day. No distractions, no cover, just time, heat, and your thoughts pacing around the room. This place averages less than 5 inches of rain a year. That's not weather. That's a suggestion. And let's talk about errands. Running to the store is a full commitment. You don't forget milk. You accept a new lifestyle. Everything takes planning. Everything. This is the kind of place where your car becomes your closest relationship, and it will betray you eventually. People don't snap here, they fade. Remember earlier when we talked about silence getting loud? Yeah, this is that on max volume. Amargosa Valley isn't dangerous in the obvious way. It's dangerous because nothing pushes back. No friction, no noise, no momentum. Out here, the desert doesn't chase you. It just waits to see how long you last. And if this feels empty, the next place isn't quiet at all, and that might be worse. Number 1. Sunland, California. Sunland looks like Los Angeles took a wrong turn and never corrected it. Sunland sits in the northeast corner of LA County. Same sun, same palm trees, same zip code adjacency to Hollywood dreams. You expect suburb with benefits, affordable-ish rent, space, quiet nights. And you do get quiet, just not the comforting kind. Here's where the numbers start. Violent crime is higher than the California average. especially for a town this sleepy. Property crime trends fluctuate. Unpredictable is the word locals use. Median rent is lower than nearby LA neighborhoods, which sounds great until you ask why. Job access is heavily car-dependent. Public transit is sparse. Quality of life scores land awkwardly in the middle. Nothing terrible, nothing reassuring. Sunland is what happens when affordability comes with a footnote. Surprisingly, it's not one big problem. It's a collection of small ones that never quite resolve. Imagine living here. Mornings are bright, mountains in the distance, birds doing their thing. At night, the streets empty fast. Too fast. You don't feel unsafe, you feel alert. A local once put it like this: nothing ever happens here, and somehow that's what keeps you on edge. That's the cost. Constant low-grade awareness. Like background static you stop noticing until it spikes. Also, Sunland traffic makes no sense. None. You'll sit behind 3 cars for 10 minutes and never learn why. No accident, no light, just vibes. And the heat? It hits different out here. Valley heat plus silence feels personal. Sunland wins because it hides in plain sight. No headlines, no legends, no abandoned buildings. Just a place where things feel slightly off. And that's harder to shake than fear. Like the video if this ruined at least one affordable LA fantasy. Subscribe, because knowing where not to move is basically a life hack.